Hello and welcome to Hey, I Loved That Movie, the podcast where we rewatch the films we loved when we were younger to see if they still hold up. I'm Dan.
I'm Michael.
I'm Helena.
And for this episode, we have special guest. It's Sean Carney from Sanspants Radio.
Hello, thanks for having me, guys.
Nice
Hi,
having you
thank
on.
you for joining us.
What movie have you chosen today?
I've chosen the 1996 classic Loch Ness. Directed by John Henderson, starring Ted Danson and Jolie Richardson. A classic of cinema. Can I ask before we jump in, had you guys seen it beforehand?
No.
No.
Oh, it's great. It's great to be able to share it. I went on Letterboxd and I saw that I think it has like 57 total reviews. It's not a widely seen film. Just very quickly, it is about a scientist from America played by Ted Danson, who's in a very low point in his life, and he's sent over to Scotland to prove or disprove the existence of the Loch Ness Monster. And he's very much a skeptic. He's a broken down scientist who's had stuff that's gone wrong in the past, and he's just a bit of a shell of a man. And he gets swept up by the culture and the hunt to find Nessie and the people there in Scotland. And it's just such a beautiful movie. I love it. I give it 5 stars every time.
Yeah, sure.
Right. I was just wondering how a young boy in Australia ends up watching a film about a Californian scientist going to Scotland.
Yeah, that was my thinking watching this.
When it comes to films you have serious nostalgia for, I was like,
yeah. I kept thinking I was watching the wrong film because it was like there's a cartoon that is like Loch Ness. It has to be that film. It has to be that film. Why am I watching like a weird drama?
Okay, so this is the situation, how it was when I was a kid in Australia. I'm sure it's probably similar in the UK. We had this thing called video stores, which don't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. And what would happen, I can't remember if it was Blockbuster or the one that was in my area before that, before Blockbuster destroyed that industry and took over and became its own thing. But our parents would take us there, and they would have, they had all those deals, and it was kind of like, get 10 movies for $10. So it was always like this scramble to get 10 movies, and sometimes you would just get the same stuff over and over again. And for whatever reason, we grabbed Loch Ness one time, my little brother and I, and we watched it, and we loved it. And then anytime we would go there, it would just fall into the bundle of 5, 10 movies, whatever it is. So I couldn't even tell you how many times I've watched this. I know I watched it heaps when I was a kid. And then there was probably this long period of my life where I pretty much forgot about it. Like, it just wasn't a thing anymore because no one had ever seen it. When I went to film school and talked to people about movies that I love and stuff, it was all the typical stuff. No one was talking about Loch Ness, this little film that bombed at the box office and destroyed Ted Danson's film career pretty much. And then someone I met when I was in uni had a copy of it on a hard drive. And I was like, holy shit, Loch Ness. I was like, fuck yeah, can I get a copy of that? And then I watched it and then fell in love again and started sharing it around uni with other people and got more and more people to watch it. And just, yeah, I think I probably love this movie more than anybody in the world. And I can say that. Because in the past, when I think about my favorite films, it's kind of like, I really love Hot Fuzz and I love The Prestige and Paddington. But there are other people in the world who love those movies more than I do. But Loch Ness is actually my favorite movie ever. And I think I'd be the only one in the world who has that opinion. I'm pretty sure.
I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite cute. I like the little girl in it, Isabella.
Yeah,
we're not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not great at names in this podcast, but
that's all right. It's Ted Danson.
You've got Ted Danson.
I shouldn't lie. I do know all their names.
Yeah, you've got Ted Danson. You've got the research assistant that looks like the love child of Robert Pattinson and Mr. Bean. You've got Bilbo.
Adrian,
he's in it. Yeah.
What a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Ian Holm. Ian Holm's great in this.
There was some fairly big names. Yeah, I just little peek behind the curtain. I watched this film with my mum. She was crashing at my house on her way home from Glasgow, and I was like, "You can stay, but you have to watch Loch Ness with me."
What did she think of it?
She wasn't a huge fan. She hadn't seen it either, shockingly, because no one has seen this film. She pointed out typical mum stuff. She didn't like the age gap between Ted Danson and what's
Jolie Richardson.
Yeah.
Yeah. How old was Ted Danson in this movie? I could not tell.
49.
Okay.
Was he actually?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense because it's rare that you see a leading man in a film have like a massive bald spot on his head.
Yeah.
And they don't even really try and hide it.
They don't.
Yeah.
I suppose he is very wet in a lot of this film.
It doesn't help. Yeah, it doesn't help when you have wet hair. But yeah, there's just lots of shots where maybe they did try and hide it because there's certain shots in this where the camera will start in a position and then just drop a little bit lower, and you just see the bald spot drop out of frame.
Yeah, I could, for like most of this film, I couldn't work out how old everyone was, and I definitely think they were trying to hide the bald spot. He was acting like he was maybe late 20s, like as like a character. So I feel like they were like really trying to make him look younger, and she wasn't that. She's a lot younger than him.
They didn't really put in any, competition for the love interest, did they?
No, you had the guy that looks like someone from Tintin.
Sorry, it was Nick Brimble.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's in like A Knight's Tale. Which, sorry, I've seen that quite recently, and I've seen that film fairly regularly.
Yeah.
He's got a real asshole face, I think.
Yeah.
Perfect for the part.
Perfect casting.
He looks aggressive and Scottish and rough, and not as. I don't even want to say that Ted Danson was attractive in this.
Oh, come on, Ted Danson.
He's got a weird shaped head.
He does have he has a weird shaped chin as well.
Yeah.
And
he's all brow.
Because they kept having to hide the bald spot, he got weird angles.
No, I think he's a handsome man in this.
Okay.
Like I'd literally only seen him in The Good Place.
Yeah,
so I'm used to him being an older man. So.
Yeah, I never really watched. It was Cheers he was famous for, wasn't it?
Cheers and Beckett. I've seen Bored to Death and A Good Place, and yeah, he's done mainly TV stuff.
Yeah, I think he was in some episodes of CSI as well. Actually, I think that was.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. I used
pretty
to be
main role.
Yeah, I was obsessed with that show as a kid. I don't know why. I went on to then study forensics at school, and then halfway through realized that I only like TV shows about it, and I don't care about forensics.
I think there was definitely a time in the 90s when Ted Danson was probably my favourite actor because I had Loch Ness on repeat, and then there was this other film that I loved for whatever reason called Getting Even with Dad. Have you seen that one? It's him and Macaulay Culkin.
Oh, wow. Perfect.
Yeah.
You haven't heard of that one?
I've heard of it, but I've not seen it.
Oh, that's a great movie. Ted Danson is like a scumbag criminal, and he gets stuck with his son for the weekend who he's a distant father. And the son oversees the criminal plot and basically blackmails the dad and says, you got to spend time with me for a whole week or I'll rat you out to the cops. And it's just great. It's just like this father and son bonding thing, and it's a beautiful movie.
So Ted Danson seems pretty good at playing, like, I guess, guys who have given up on caring about family. And like the bit where he's talking about he named a parasitic wasp after his ex-wife. That explains it.
That's a massive red flag.
Yep.
It's like, oh, how funny is that? Run. Run from that man.
Yeah. Also, how much alimony is she after? Like, it's sort of saying, she's ruined him, but I thought the whole point of alimony was that it's roughly half.
I mean, I thought that the whole Sasquatch thing had ruined him, but
Yeah, I
was going to say, surely
idea.
if he's already broke, then the alimony from the divorce can't be that much anyway.
Maybe he did get pictures of Bigfoot and she kept them.
Yeah.
Just like, fuck you.
Yeah, so the science in this film is interesting. I did love the diagnostic stuff they were using on the survey equipment. I really enjoyed Adrian explaining to the audience how each thing worked, because it is not obvious from looking at it, because it was like they just done someone whipped something up in MS Paint and
it's cutting edge technology.
Yeah, it was I enjoyed watching the very tense blob come towards the screen.
Yes. That was the best part. Is like, it's getting faster.
And then it's just a log.
From nasty bad Bilbo coming in and wrecking his shit.
You know what I think? When we're back to Ted Danson having money problems in this. Yeah. How do you think he affords that red bike at the end? Not only that, but the ticket to fly back to Scotland. Like, this guy's got no money. I don't want to take down a 5-star movie.
I thought
I'll stop there.
he doesn't he get the train back because he was in London when
Oh no, good call.
Yeah, so it's not well, actually no. Our trains are fucked. It's probably just as expensive, if not more.
Yeah.
What if he rode the red bike that he stole?
He definitely
that would have been
stole
quite
it,
a cute ending if he'd turned up instead of in his shitty estate car, just been on the tiny little red bicycle.
I don't know if you guys will recall this, but one of my favourite visual things in this is the very final shot. It's the callback to the do you realize you're blocking the driveway? What do you intend to do about it thing? If you look in the background, it's fairly obvious. The little girl keeps running in and out of the house.
Yeah.
What the fuck is she doing?
Well, I think she was
Just
coming in to
excited.
greet her, but then didn't want to interrupt her mum locking
She does
faces.
like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
She's just like gets on the little doorstep, does a little jig, and then runs back in.
But her face when she realizes it's him as well.
Oh,
I'm not sure if anyone else clocked
Yeah.
that at the end of the movie, where she's suddenly goes like, "This is not great for an audio medium." Like,
Well, I think she was running in and out because she was used to jump scaring Ted Danson, which she does about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
This is the only film that kid ever did.
fair
Pretty
enough.
good effort.
She was very cute.
Yeah, no, she's actually like, for a child actor, she's really good.
What did you guys think of the effects? Because I watch it and I'm like, they aren't anywhere near as terrible as they could be.
No,
I'm talking the actual Loch Ness monster in the
Oh, the
cave.
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I wanted to talk about this because it's Thingy from the Muppets, isn't it? That
Yeah,
does
it's
it.
Henson Creature Shop, which we
Yeah.
talked about for
Yeah.
George of the Jungle as well.
So I was kind of half expecting it to be a Muppet.
Just like Gonzo.
Or like, yeah, it's a Loch Ness, but then both fins are like little arms on sticks. So I was pleasantly surprised that it. I mean, it's not great, but it's considering the time it came out, like it was fine. I think it was not exactly anticlimactic. I mean, at this point, everyone knows what the Loch Ness monster was. So it wasn't like this huge reveal. Apart from the fact that maybe some interpretations it's like a long eel with like several bumps in it,
Yeah.
and this is like a much more dinosaur-y.
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, but it's got a long neck. It's Nessie. Oh shit, there's 2 of them. Kind of saw
Yeah,
that one
that was
coming.
the twist.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
twist is that it's not one monster that somehow survived like
A film about
1,500 years.
a film about a girl that's desperate for no one to be alone, and there's 2 of them. It was
Yeah.
like, okay.
That's sort of when the heart kicked in for this movie, though, when the girl's like showing him it. It was from that point
Yeah.
that I was like more invested in the movie because it's like a bit of a slow burn of him just like, no, I don't care, it's not real.
The first half of the film was I didn't find particularly enjoyable.
fine.
I was just sort of waiting for the change or whatever was going to happen to make him believe.
What bothered me about the first half of the film is he's convinced it's not real because obviously, but he's so angry that the town's economy is based on the Loch Ness monster being real, and he's so angry about that because he says at one point, "Oh, I think the Chamber of Trade has a reason to keep this going," and it's like. Yeah, why is he so mad that this town's economy is based? Why does he want to ruin this town? Because
He's a man of science.
Yeah, I think he wanted to.
I
That's
think
why he
that's
wanted.
all it is.
Because he
Yeah.
ruined his reputation trying to hunt down the Sasquatch, didn't he? And then he couldn't find it.
Yeah, I think he put everything. He put his whole life into the Sasquatch, and it's just crumbled. And now he's just this bitter man who needs he needs his heart to be kickstarted again by the people in the town.
I did,
Yeah.
as cute and lovely as it was that he doesn't ruin or like break this girl's trust in the end and does lie about having seen it and publishes the wrong photos and everything. I was like, oh fucking hell, it'd be amazing for Loch Ness if the Loch Ness monster was real.
I
Like,
no,
that
I,
would be
I don't
so-
think it. I think it because they do go on to that. They say like, oh, he says, oh, if they find out it's real, it'll be amazing. There'll be thousands of people here. I think she says something back to him where she says, yeah, but it will just become like a safari park. You'll have people having like Nessie ice cream and stuff, and it's like I get that as a small town, they don't want like thousands and thousands of people there every day, but it's enough to have like, oh, it's a little secret. It's like
But they already have
possible.
the thousands of people at the off-season Loch Ness convention where they also my favorite line of the movie where they said they were trying to lure the monster in with was it 5 tons of breadcrumbs? So they already have like infrastructure there. Like it's still a holiday destination, and then there's this idea that like mystery trumps science, which I just, as someone who's like science, I found it quite upsetting. It was like, well, actually, if you can prove the Loch Ness monster exists, like there's so many other things that can be learnt and shared. It's not just, oh, okay, it'll be a massive tourist thing. It'll also be like the information, like, okay, if the Loch Ness monster is real, what else in the loch that's obviously been cut off during the ice age, from it froze over and it got cut off? What else is there? What else can we discover? What else can we find out? How exciting is that? And they'll finally have the funding for it as well, because people will actually, they've got that, once something's been funded and you've got that little bit of proof, all the other people will come in. And it's just so goddamn selfish. That's my opinion anyway. Not just Danson, but the whole town's attitude, especially because Bad Bilbo he's saying, oh, well, it's the mystery. And he fucking knows anyway. So it's like, well, it's not a mystery to you, is it, mate? So he's sabotaging him because he knows he doesn't want him to find them. And it's like, okay, but why do you want to keep this to yourself?
I think that they explain it, though, in Jolie Richardson's rant about how, you'll have 10,000 people lining up for a McNessie burger. I think they want to keep that part of the world sacred. Yes, you're going to have people there who, are trying to get a photo of the monster and stuff like that. But that will be
but who are they
10,000.
Who are they to make that decision, though?
The people that live there.
Yeah, that would be 10,000.
They didn't raise the dinosaur.
That would be 10,000 times worse, though, the amount of people there if they actually did find something. And I totally understand when she says it's just going to be a theme park and attraction. It's like the destruction of their culture. And so what you have Ted Danson, who is a scientist, a man of science, versus people of faith, really. And it's him choosing to basically turn his back on what he believes in and his profession. But in doing so, he gains connection with people. That's kind of what it is. If he keeps going down that path, it's the Sasquatch path. It's the kind of the path to nowhere.
But it's not
a path that's led him to a life.
But there is a dinosaur.
Yeah, no, but it's the path. It's the path to ruin. It's kind of like, well, how do you want to search for that missing link? What does that search actually mean for you? And I think for him, it's kind of like, well, actually, I found a human connection here with this woman Laura and with her daughter.
Because there's an actual dinosaur. Well, there's two, and they can breed, but they've only got a baby one now, even though they've been there since the Ice Age. The last bit, I think, was just like a little, oh, baby.
They're probably a bit inbred.
Yeah.
A lot.
But also, like Loch Ness, as much as it's a cute, tiny little town, it's a big loch. Like they could have the Loch Ness theme park and only destroy 10th, maybe even only like 5% of Loch Ness, and it could be far away from the town, and they could set up a marine biology station. They could actually analyze this, find out more stuff about the dinosaurs, feed in research from all over the world, and we could learn so much. And instead they're like, no, we want to keep our town that's already, by the way, massively leaning into the Loch Ness thing. We want to keep it just the way it is. And I'm like, well, that's not moving with the times. That's so stale.
Yeah, there's also the bit where they're talking about, but these creatures have managed to survive this long without science interfering. So if science interferes, that's what they start saying. They're like, if science interferes, it could be worse for them. They've survived this long, why change it now? But at the same time, it's like, it might improve them. They just start breeding them, and you end up with like these dinosaurs all over the world.
I'm a dinosaur kid, so I'm very much pro, like, you've got a fucking alive dinosaur. I want to share that with everyone. That's so exciting for me, rather than being in love with, I think, like Sean, you really love the atmosphere of Loch Ness and how beautiful and picturesque it is. And I'm like, but dinosaurs? That's way more exciting for me than a pretty bit of Scotland, because like most of Scotland's pretty. Like,
I do want to know
the way it is.
One thing about this, though. What is Ted Danson's job in this film? Like, not as in like what role does he play in the whole thing? Like, what is that man's job? Because to start, he is looking for Sasquatch, and then he's told, you didn't find Sasquatch, go and find Loch Ness. Is his job just to find cryptids?
I thought he was like, when he first arrives at that building at the beginning, I thought he was a teacher. I thought he was like an Indiana Jones style sort of thing.
Yeah, no, he's a teacher because he couldn't find Sasquatch. But like, did they just send him out to find random?
It was to disprove. It was. I think it was like an easy gig because no one was expecting them to find anything.
Is that a job? Can you be paid to go out and disprove?
If someone decides to fund it, that's academia, yeah. And
How do I do that?
I did quite like that relatable.
How do I get that job? Because it sounds incredible to go out, be like, go and find Sasquatch. Okay, cool.
With almost unlimited funding that this rich guy's paying.
Yeah, because that guy's like, how much is it? Oh, it's like £30,000.
Yeah, 20 was it? Yeah, 20 grand you wanted for the boat.
Yeah.
But to be fair, they do sink.
No, but he said 20,000, and then that for the other one it's 30,000, and the guy was like, "That's fine. It's on this guy's credit." What?
Yeah, spare no expense.
Spare no expense, like to find Nessie.
Yeah, it's also he sort of hooks up with the hotel owner just to get out of the bill. After
I mean,
getting to, was it 90 quid a day? One of my favorite bits of the film was actually when he starts offering the money, and like she says, like he offers like £70 a day, and like the guy at the bar just sort of looks up like, oh,
yeah.
He clearly knows that she's just bullshitting him with fake prices.
That's a lot of money. I know it's
the only time he looked alive.
Like that. That's a lot of money back then.
I mean, she had the best line in that though, where she said, "Sleeping with me isn't on the bill. I do that with all of my clients." All of them. That's such a good. She was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, for a while
she's a great actor.
was the only woman in Loch Ness until you get the shopkeepers who just
the shopkeepers are incredible.
Yeah,
I love the shopkeepers.
Like awful acting, but
yeah,
they were just so weird.
They were incredible. They were just talking about this random American in the town.
They're talking about eggs, aren't they? Like, I hear he only eats the yolks. He sleepwalks in the nude.
Yeah. Well, no, they were like, oh, he only eats eggs, and she leans in and goes, he sleepwalks. I hear a lot of Americans do that. He sleeps naked. Oh. I like that she's going around making the rumors of him worse. That's like her job. I love her character. It was weird hearing a Scottish accent without swearing.
Yeah, some of the lines near the beginning, from the research assistant and from her, they seemed like it was ADR. It didn't quite fit.
Oh yeah, so much of this film is ADR.
Yeah,
much of this film.
I think they were all swearing and they had to cut it
out. Well, no, because the audio recording of this film is dreadful. Or it's so much of it is ADR, and there is a scene at the beginning where before Ted Danson goes to Scotland and he's in his like American research place, and there's a woman that comes in and talks to him. She's dubbed over. She's ADR. He is not.
No, none of his lines are, but most of other people's lines seem to be, and it's really jarring.
Like his audio is so. Whenever he talks, his audio is so quiet, and I'm just, what happened? What happened on set where they just fucked up the recording?
No, I reckon. So if this was, going to be coming out in America and stuff, you know what happened with like Train Spotting and that, where they had to like subtitle it in America because of the Scottish accents. I think they were like too Scottish.
They were to turn it down.
That makes sense, actually.
They
the
probably had to re-record the audio.
Yeah, this cute little Scottish girl's accent is it's quite good, but it is very toned down, isn't it? All of them are quite easy to understand.
Is Jolie Richardson's Scottish accent a good accent?
I don't think we're the ones to ask.
Nope. Watching this film,
I believed it because she's that good an actress that I don't think she's ever told a lie on screen. But I think, Ian Holm is like considerably higher in acting pedigree than anybody else in this movie.
Yeah.
So I don't doubt his accent. I think he's just flawless, especially when he calls that guy a young whippersnapper. I love it.
Yeah, like watching this film, I couldn't work out who was like actually Scottish. As much as like they were putting on an accent or not, all of the accents were consistent. Like they all sounded like they were from the same place, which is kind of the problem that happens when people do accents they can't do. Is you get a lot like, this person sounds like they're from 100 miles away, but for some reason they were born and lived in this town and they sound like no one else.
Can we just talk a little bit about Keith Allen? He was the guy that's the crazy guy who, he's like, get away from my mum.
Yeah, the incredible person.
The insane guy, yeah.
Brilliant. He looked like he was having the best time on set. I don't know why he was in there, but
do you reckon that guy has seen the monster, or like has just become really obsessed with it?
I think he's just the like pinnacle of like fanatics, where he's probably not seen the monster.
I can't recall the specifics, but I think that guy may be based on a guy who was in Scotland in the 70s who claimed to have summoned the monster using magic.
Okay.
I remember reading about it at the time. There was a lot of similarities with him and this crazy guy, and I think it's just a nod to that guy who I think still lives there. He's an absolute nutter. In terms of the movie, I like to think that he probably saw it at some point, and it just broke his brain.
Yeah, because he keeps making that noise. He's like, I can talk to it, you can't.
Yeah.
And then Ted Danson becomes like, it's the screaming match on the boat when Ted
It's
Danson's
my monster.
Yeah, they're just screaming, it's my monster at each other. And Ted Danson's character, there is no arc for him to getting to that point. He just suddenly is like, no! He's suddenly just as like angry and obsessed as the other guy.
Do you think that's what he was like with the Sasquatch?
Yeah, like that's a good point. Is he just like that? Because I get why people don't want him to looking for the Sasquatch anymore.
I
Because
see it as like an American sensibility, I think, where it's kind of like, no, I saw it first, it's mine.
but he's just screaming at people.
Yeah, he's a maniac. Honestly, he's just a broken man.
Yeah, no wonder they stopped him looking for the Sasquatch. I want to watch that film. I want to watch the film of him starting out as like a really sane, normal scientist and just going mad looking for Sasquatch. I want to see Ted
cinematic universe.
Yeah, I want to see Ted Danson in that film and it not be like a kid's film because Loch Ness is a kid's film. Right?
Yeah. More or less. Yeah.
They had Scottish people and they weren't swearing. That's enough to count as a kid's film.
Yeah, Ted Danson's the only one that swears. He says shit at one point.
He does.
He has that great line where it's like, yeah, it's just a wish list to make us feel like there's more to life than the shit we got stuck with. I'm like, yeah, fair.
Great scene.
Yeah.
There is a scene in this where I'm sure Adrian says fuck, and I hear it every time I watch it. It's when he's drunk and he goes and stands out in the same spot that Dr. Abernathy died and slipped over and died at the start.
Yeah.
When I watch that, I hear him go, fuck, or fuck it, or something like that. And then on the version I watched last night, the subtitles were, that's it. I'm like, he didn't say that's it. He said fuck.
They couldn't stop him. They just couldn't stop him from swearing.
I think they were editing and they just went, you know what, the sound quality's so shithouse, no one's going to pick this up. This is like typical of like a certain 90s film where if you turn your volume up beyond a certain point, it's just
noise.
It fails the integrity test. It's just,
I really struggled with this film actually just from annoyingly. It was slightly out of sync the entire film. And I don't know if that was that the...
No, that was the ADR.
That part of it? Yeah, the ADR. Yeah, it was...
I know that was a real thing. Yeah,
okay,
I found the same issue. I watched
it
on a thing called Stan here in Australia, a streaming thing, and I was like, "What the fuck's going on with this?" Because I haven't really noticed it in the past, but I haven't watched probably a high definition copy of this before. I know that there are, particularly with this podcast, where you're looking back on movies that you did love. I understand that people will watch this film and be like, "That's not a very good film." There are films that I look back on and I have a real soft spot for, and I still love them, but can admit that they kind of suck. I don't think this movie sucks. Now, maybe there's a part of my brain that is broken, but I look at it and I go, nah, I love that, I love that, I love that. Dan, you were saying that it's kind of a bit sluggish early on. I was so captivated. I watched this pretty late at night. My football team had just had a huge win, and I was like, well, keep this party going. Let's watch Loch Ness. Normally, I would be like, I'd be falling asleep, but no. Ted Danson he takes me there, and Jolly Richardson.
I think everyone has a film like that, and that's sort of what this podcast. Yeah, we're trying to find that film for each of us.
Yeah.
And I think I know which of mine is, but I'm not ready to have everyone else hate it yet. So we've not done that record.
Mine's insane. Mine's an insane film no one has ever heard of, and I don't know how I started watching it, but I did. It's the sequel to. I can't even remember.
Isn't it Soccer Dog or something?
Yeah, it's a sequel to Soccer Dog. It's called Soccer Dog European Tour. And it's a sequel that you can't find anywhere, and there is one trailer for it on YouTube, and that's it. But for some reason, I watched that a lot as a kid. I imagine it's terrible.
Have you watched it since?
No, I can't find it anywhere. Like, I legitimately can't find it. It doesn't exist anymore, and I never want to watch it. I imagine it's bad.
Helen, what's your one?
Mine's the Black Cauldron.
I haven't even heard of that.
Well, it's and this comes up quite a lot because it's a phrase that gets tossed around. It nearly killed Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been quite a few of our films that nearly killed Disney, apparently. But it's about a pig that can see the future. But it's sort of set in the medieval times. It's great. It's fantastic. I love it. I would watch. I watched it every day as a kid until my mum said the tape broke.
Yep.
And I think that's mum code for I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. That's mum code for the dog went to the farm.
I remember when I was about 15, I was in a boot fair, and I found the video cassette for 50p, and I bought it for my mum as a joke, and she literally looked like she was having some sort of PTSD flashback. And I was like, yeah, I got this video. And she's like, no. I mean, I don't know why she was worried, because at that point we didn't have a cassette player.
Yeah, you can't play it.
But apparently I still watch it. I've watched it quite recently. It's amazing. I love it, but I also am quite protective of it, and I think that's maybe how you feel about Loch Ness.
100%. Anything bordering on negativity, I'm like, it's fucking slander.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Dan, what's yours? What's your pick?
I don't think there's a particular one that I watched loads. The main ones that come to mind we've already done, which was like Small Soldiers and Cats and Dogs. I know I watched them quite a lot. So yeah, they're ones that we have already gotten round to. I think we're planning on doing the Black Cauldron sometime soon. I don't know if the Soccer Dog European Cup is
we can't
possible.
find it.
If we find it, I do want to do it.
Could you have imagined it?
I might have. I genuinely. The other films I watched as a kid were like Underworld and Alien. I didn't watch many like kids' films when I was a kid.
Had a fever dream about Soccer Dog 2.
Yeah.
Was it Soccer Dog 2?
Yeah, it was like Soccer Dog 2 European Tour or something. But...
I actually love the idea of trying to track down this lost relic.
Wild.
I remember I lost the DVD, or the first DVD, because it was a 2 DVD thing for Agent Cody Banks 2, and being really gutted because I couldn't find it anywhere for ages. And then suddenly it came back. Someone on TV bought the rights for it or something, and it started being shown all the time again. But yeah, that film had a special place in my heart as well, and it is dog shit.
Yeah, they all are.
It's nice when they hold up.
Yeah,
I watched another
nice
one that I loved when I was a kid called Merlin, starring Sam Neill.
Is that animated?
Didn't quite. No, it's live action.
Okay.
I still love it.
That's the conclusion we come to with a lot of these films. Is it's awful. I'm going to love it. I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah.
But I understand. Something that's fascinating whenever we talk about these films, and like it's like I love this film as a kid, it's incredible, and I still love it now. They are always failures. We have not watched any film that is like that, and it's been like, oh, it was a success at the box office. No, it's always like it nearly killed the company that made it. All of them.
Yeah, I love hearing, this movie killed the studio that made it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I want to watch it.
Most of the films we watch nearly kill the company that made them. Not deliberately. It's just because they're that weird failures.
This is probably in that ballpark because I would say it killed Ted Danson's film career. Because I think this was like a leading man role. And around this time, too, I'm not sure what year, but it would have been pretty close, was Gulliver's Travels. He was in that as well. And I think he would have been trying to position himself as like a Hollywood leading man. And then this one tanked, and now he's a TV man. He's a great actor. He's a great TV actor. But you don't think Ted Danson's film career... Couldn't even tell you what his most popular film is.
Loch Ness.
A couple of years later, he was in Saving Private Ryan.
It's a very minor role. He's
very
not
minor.
He's not part of the team that saves Ryan. So
he's not Saving Private Ryan.
No.
But yeah, after that, there's not a lot on his, and there's but the ones that he is on, they're TV movies.
Yeah.
Loch Ness feels like a TV movie.
Well, weirdly, it came out. Well, maybe not weirdly at all when you've seen it, but it came out for like a week on TV before it came out in cinemas. Some sort of wild release strategy. No. It was almost, when I read it, I'm like reading this article. I'm like, was it an accident? Did someone hit play and it just was on some shitty network?
Were they shocked it was a failure then? They were like, everyone's seen it. It was on TV.
Really strange. That's that self-sabotage, really, isn't it? Because why pay for something you can see for free?
Yeah, maybe they couldn't cut together a good trailer for it, so they just were like, "Hey, do you want to see this bigger?"
Have the whole film. Just have the whole film. There's a trailer, and then watch it in the cinema.
I'm looking at Ted Danson's career just in terms of on Letterboxd, it ranks it in popularity, and Saving Private Ryan is first, but it's like he's
not in it.
He's basically not in that film. Same with Ted. You have to get about 12 films down to find one that he actually starred in.
How far down is Loch Ness?
Is
it near the bottom?
No, it's about halfway.
Wow, there's worse.
Yeah.
No, but my thing with Loch Ness and watching it, as I was watching it, this is why I didn't understand why it was a film that you really loved and really wanted to talk about. Because as I was watching it, I couldn't work out how anyone would have any strong feeling about this film. It's not even like I hated it. I was like, I don't care about this film, and I've never had that before. Normally I have really strong feelings about films. Some films you just have, everyone has whether you like it or not, it's a strong feeling. We've talked about one of those films before, and we talk about it a lot, and I'm never mentioning it again. It's Southland Tales.
I hate how much I keep thinking about that fucking movie.
I kind of want to watch it again in this weird self-mapping, this statistic kind of way where I'm like, was it? Did I just not get it? But I
don't want to give Tom the satisfaction.
That's just Tom in my head being like, but it's good.
I I can't wait to get out of this app and message Tom, be like, "You've done it, mate. You won."
I don't know.
You're
I
in the
don't
hand.
give him the satisfaction.
You're
of
living in there
rewatching
rent
it.
free, mate. You've done it. Well done.
So, but this film, I was watching it. I don't hate it. I don't like it. I don't dislike it. I feel nothing about it. I've never felt that about a film before, and it bothers me.
I didn't struggle to watch this film. It wasn't like I was clock watching, although at the start I was a bit like yawn. But I wasn't there like, oh God, I can't wait for this to be over, as I was with Southland Tales. I mean, Southland Tales also goes on for like 5 years. So there's like a reason to be like waiting for the end, because like I still want to be young when this movie ends. One thing that I did notice about this movie, that it is beautiful. Like, it's very nice to look at, as long as it's the Scottish scenery it's beautiful. Like, they didn't have to do anything to make it look pretty, and I'm pretty sure that was just some random bed and breakfast that they filmed in. And it probably was just the person in charge of locations just sort of knocked on a few doors and found the least grumpy Scottish person. And that was gorgeous. I think what really set that in my mind, though, was at the end when we have the awful underground cavern scene where you meet Nessie for the first time. That set was bloody awful. And like with the stalactite.
Weirdly, I don't have an issue with it.
You're not. You really. That scene. It's like it just suddenly you go from gorgeous, genuine, beautiful landscape, brilliant lighting. It's absolutely spectacular, to cardboard rocks and what looked like papier-mâché hanging from the ceiling.
You can film anything in Scotland and it will look nice.
When it's not raining.
Even then, Scotland's just a beautiful place.
Also, we have to discuss the fact that they call it the Nessasaurus.
The Nessasaurus.
Yeah, that's what they call the before. Well, in the short period of time where he's actually like, I'm going to reveal this huge scientific discovery to other scientists rather than keep it to myself. Not that I've still got an issue with that.
Is that a quote from the film?
Nessasaurus. I'm sure it is, because I wrote it down. I'm like 75 to 80% sure.
Yeah, because that's rattled me then, because I've seen this film, I cannot recall how many times. I've never heard Nessasaurus in my life. Are you sure?
You wouldn't have. You heard the audio of this film?
Do I still have time left on my rental? Can I don't want to rewatch it.
I've gone insane. I just muted it and I just do the voices myself.
You just do it yourself,
yeah.
I am fairly sure, because my note that I wrote down was Nessasaurus, ha ha ha.
Well, I guess I have to watch it again tonight. Damn.
You can just watch the ending. You don't have to watch all of it.
When do you think they say Nessasaurus?
When he's doing just before the big reveal that he's got the wrong photos, it was during that talk.
Oh, okay.
And he says the Nessasaurus, like Loch Nessaurus or whatever, something daft, but I didn't write down that bit, just Nessasaurus, and brilliant.
Well, because of the perfect way that whole thing is structured, I'm on the edge of my seat, so tense with the emotion of the drama of the film that maybe I didn't hear that. Maybe it went in one ear and out the other. I was looking at Ted Danson's face and just being like, that is a man who was acting his heart out.
Yeah, I mean, that whole scene.
Can't believe I missed Nessasaurus. Fuck.
Where it's like he's showing all the shit pictures, and then he's like, no, this next one's real, and it's just the drawing that the kid did for him. I was like, that is perfect payoff. Like,
I don't have to say this. I love it already. I love the movie. But if I'm gonna say something about that scene, so he talks to Ian Holm on the train, and they have a beautiful thing. And Ian Holm, he's a great actor, and does the thing about, this is hard for me. I've never asked anybody for anything in my life. Please don't do this sort of thing. It's great. Has Ted Danson already decided what he's going to do? Because to me, that's not a big enough thing to suddenly be like, while he's not looking, I'm going to put the photos in his bag. Like, Ted Danson, it feels like such a vindictive move to go to this big press conference gala thing they're doing and basically shit on the career of his boss.
Yeah, it's
like, why do it? If you know you're not going to do it, just don't show up.
It was like a life-saving opportunity that the boss gave him as well. Like, it was a nice thing. Like, it was a nice thing for him to do. He didn't have to send this guy to Scotland. I mean, it was a bit like it wasn't like a great job, but it was still a job. And he was like, you need the money. And he thanked him by fucking him over.
Yeah, he even, when he's in his office, he's like, I've got letters from the IRS. I've got people chasing you. This guy could have just thrown him to the wolves, but he's like, I believe in you. I'm going to give you this opportunity. Not a great job, but it's a job and it'll keep you going. And then, he just shits on him.
I think it just shows that if you stick around Loch Ness long enough and you see the monster, you go a bit insane.
Well, so I was wondering.
He's got Nessie disease.
Yeah.
Nessicitis.
when Bilbo's on the train, I was just thinking, like, what's his plan? Is he just going to wait until it gets to London and then get off and go back again?
Go back. He had to get to London.
There's probably other stops, but that is a long train journey.
Yeah.
Bilbo's big day out.
Yeah, that's his adventure.
Also, I know we're calling him Bilbo, but he is literally just called the Water Bailiff, or just Water Bailiff.
Yeah.
He doesn't get a name.
No, doesn't need one.
No, he's just Water Bailiff.
He's also called Keeper of the Loch, which is a much better name.
I think with him on the train, that's his whole thing. He talks about how I haven't been to London since 1952 or whatever it is. I think it's him trying to say to Ted Danson, this is how important it is to me that I would physically get onto a train. Like that's his last chance, I think.
Yeah.
I will admit, I choke up when he's on the bus and he opens the bag and looks at the photos. And I think that feeling grows more on each viewing because now obviously Ian Holmes passed away. And so I don't know, in that scene, I just think my mind starts thinking about all these great roles. And I'm just like, man, he doesn't have to be in this film. This tiny little film that probably destroyed a studio. But he's in there anyway. Yeah, and I fucking love him. Yeah.
You mean no? They're flawless. If Loch Ness is anything to go by, they are flawless as a production.
I read that Ted Danson loved this movie because he could trace his family lineage. They were apparently from Scotland, and I always find things like that funny because it's like, hey man, you're an actor with money. Just do that in your own time. Why are you doing a film? But I'm glad he did. Yeah, it's one of the joys of my life watching this film.
I'm glad you have something in your life that you love so much.
Yeah. I mean...
It's a shame it's not a better film.
We've all got one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say for me, like, the bits that hold up is definitely, like, the scenery, and the little Isabella's acting is very cute. But then there's, just the creepy age gap and these two sort of characters, not exactly forced together, but more like there's literally no one else worth being in love with.
It's good. The fight scene we haven't mentioned. I love the fight scene.
Oh yeah.
Fight scene's incredible. I like the old man who has the two bottles and gives her the empty one, and then I think he opens the full one.
Yeah.
That's great. That's incredible. He's my favorite. He's one of my favorite characters throughout because he's just in the back sneaking alcohol.
He's just
most of the time.
It was great watching when it was like, oh, you wouldn't dare, when he's like, I'm gonna the Scottish lady's like, I'm gonna bottle you, and he's like, you wouldn't dare, and she just
whacks
does it.
There's
and I'm
no
like,
pause.
she's a Scottish lass, she is gonna of course she's gonna do it. She's a bartender. But not even a bartender, she's like the landlady. Like, she's gonna defend her pub. And I don't know why this guy is she
I think he's just into her because she's maybe the only woman of that age in the town, apart from the two supermarket ladies, I guess.
They don't tell you what town it is because Loch Ness isn't a town. Loch Ness is
huge.
I was trying, I think it might be, and I'm going to absolutely butcher this.
No, let's go Scottish town name.
Drumnadrochit.
Sounds right.
I don't know. Apologies to our millions of Scottish listeners that I've just upset.
All two of them. They're going to be upset with us now.
That's the village near where the scene with where you castle where you meet the Loch Ness monster. So that's what I was like. Well, it could be there because they walk there. So and that's only 2 kilometers away.
This film was made for people not in Scotland. It is the town near Scotland. Near Loch Ness. It's the town near Loch Ness. That's all
I do like that you get London, England, which is always such an American thing. And you have like Loch Ness, Scotland, but then it just says like California. It doesn't say United States of America. This audience, they know that. Well, they know their local geography.
It might be London, Canada. You know. It might be there's no other Loch Ness.
So, I mean, we know what score you're going to give it, but out of 10, how many kids' drawings of Nessie?
10. Big 10. 10 every day of the week. I'm keen to hear your scores. Dan, I reckon you're going to go an 8.
Yeah, I'd say an 8 out of 10. It was good. Like I say, the beginning was like relatively slow, but yeah, when it gets to the point where he actually sees the Loch Ness monster, and it's just sort of it's just so full of joy and just becomes quite a happy movie. Like from that point on, I was like quite invested. But yeah, just up until that point, I'm like, I sort of assumed that's where it was going. Yeah. But it was a bit of a slow burn to get there.
Yeah, Fair enough. Michael, you're a 5.
6. I think it's like well made and well put together. I just have no other feeling. Like as a technical film, it's a
Is it well made?
film. Except for the audio.
Part of
It's
audiovisual media, but
yeah, it's well shot and it looks nice, and like the story makes sense for the most part. Apart from Loch Ness being real, no, there is no like weird gap in the film. There are very few like this doesn't make any sense bits. Apart from the bike at the end. Now you've pointed it out.
Yep.
yeah.
No. I take it back.
He stole it.
Don't
He
even
stole that
question
bike.
it.
The bike
I
is
guess I'm okay if he stole it.
yeah.
What you don't see is this little kid like that lives 3 villages over just sobbing.
Yeah. I liked how there was a point in the film where it was borderline creepy, and it very could have easily gone in like a horror direction.
Yeah.
Isabella was a bit scary at times, actually. She
Yeah.
did get a bit creepy.
And there was
not just, like when they're on the boat. There's quite a few
yeah.
scenes when they're on the boat, and it's like in my head I was like, it's a twist. It's a shark from Jaws. I really wanted it to be like it's a shark.
There
Nah,
was
that's Loch Ness Terror, the sequel.
There was the sort of like Jaws sort of shot as well, where she's like playing with the dog and throws the stick in, and then you get like just the shot from underwater looking up at it. I'm like, oh, that dog's gonna die.
I knew it wouldn't happen because the tone of the movie was just not there at all. But I think it's just, do you remember the old like Asduff movies where it's like the dinosaur just goes wrong on the bear, like, and just eats whole the little girl, and I was just I thought, oh, that'd be so funny.
I was really hoping
as like a prank ending. If they, I don't know, for like a publicity stunt, they just had and she just got nibbled.
Really hoping the one thing the monster eats wasn't the dog, because it looked like the dog. The dog was gonna get ate. It's like, please don't let that be where the horror starts.
How are you going to give this 5 out of 10?
Yeah, you're right on the money. 5 giant scientific discoveries out of 10. Because dinosaurs, man, they're amazing. Why wouldn't you want to share that with everyone? Like, I'm sure your village will cope.
It's because he fell in love.
Yeah, what's the giant scientific discovery for a bit of puss? Like, you gotta go for it.
She just...
It's Jolie Richardson.
Yeah, she wants his monster in her lot.
Yeah.
You know?
Gross.
She's a kid filmed guy.
Well, she does say sex.
She does.
She does say the word sex, and that was a bit like...
Yeah, that was wild.
In
I
front
remember
of
being a kid watching that and being like, "Oh shit! Make sure Mum's not around. This is crazy."
I had to cough through this bit of the film. I think, your mum probably got quite used to just tuning that film out.
That's a good question. How did your mum react to this? How do your parents react to this film if you watched it so much?
They weren't big film people. I feel like they was probably just like took us to the video store to shut us up, put some movies on, and they just went about doing their own thing. I can't recall them watching it.
Sean's not moving for the next hour and 20 minutes. We know that for sure.
It is funny because I recall watching it with my little brother heaps, and then we have an older brother who's like 4 years older than us. And I brought it up with him recently. I was like, "Hey man, remember Loch Ness?" And he just has no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Hasn't even heard of it, which is crazy. I don't know how he missed it.
There was no point where your parents were like, "And we on the way home we lost the Loch Ness." Oh no!
Oh no! It's scratched.
Someone accidentally put it back.
You see your mum like holding a nail behind her, like, oh wait, it's not. It wouldn't have been a DVD. It would have been a video.
VHS.
Got munched.
Pair of scissors.
This won't shock you, but there was never a moment where we entered that video store. I'm like, holy shit! I hope someone else hasn't borrowed it. I hope it's there.
That store had one copy.
Yeah.
I do really like that your parents didn't just buy you this video.
Well, I don't think it's available because I have never seen it. Even now on like DVD or whatever, I've never seen it. I mean, I'm sure I could probably buy it on Amazon or something.
If your parents wanted, I'm sure if they'd asked nicely, that it wouldn't have been that much of a loss.
No.
The video store, Blockbuster or Blockbuster adjacent shop, like, hey, Sean watches this a lot. Can we just give you $10 now and have it for the rest of the year?
Sure, to the end, it wasn't just like, you can have it.
Yeah, no, but
you're the only person getting out.
Sean,
take it.
Yeah,
Sean renting that movie is actually what kept that Blockbuster afloat.
Honestly, if I think about it, I'm filled with regret that when it closed down, I didn't go there and buy it. Like, I should have gone and bought a copy of it. I wish I had it on VHS.
But
You mean
all
more
their-
do
the
anything
copy
with
of
it.
it?
Yeah.
Well, the copy, yeah. Not a copy, the copy.
The
But all of
copy.
their
The
copies.
only one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, thank you for just your passion is
Yeah.
contagious. I'm starting to like this movie more and more. I'm sure if we carried on talking about it, by the end you might win me over
Yeah.
to like
done my
maybe
job.
6 out of 10. But yeah.
I hope a week from now you're still thinking about this movie in the same way you're thinking about Southland Tales.
No,
Oh,
you don't.
no,
you
it's-
don't want it to be the same way.
Not in the same way, no. Oh, that's
You don't
foolish by
want it to
me.
be the same way.
Yeah.
You
But
think
yeah,
it's
no,
from-
go on
until
Letterboxd.
you've
Guys,
seen
go on
it.
Letterboxd and review it, please. Because there's not enough love on there.
Yeah.
This also will not shock you when you go on there. You'll find that mine is like the top review.
I'm pretty sure all the other ones are about 2 stars as well.
Well, that actually, yeah, when I first got Letterboxd, I checked it out on Letterboxd, and the guy who had the top review, so the review that you see when you first go onto Loch Ness, gave it like 2 stars and was really laying into it. And I was like, I can't stand for this. I have to hit it with 5 stars.
Dare you.
Sean, I've just checked Letterboxd now, right? You have the top one. You also have the second one.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then, can I ask, is the third one a guy named Tom?
Yeah, that's Tom Ed Goose. He's the third
Tom
one.
Ed Goose?
Yep.
Yep.
Uh,
Wow.
More people need to watch it. Get
Yeah.
it out there.
Yeah, you're really advocating for this
Yeah.
film.
It's one of those funny things. It's kind of like, Helen, I don't know if you feel the same way about the Black Cauldron, where it's like one part of you wants to share it and make more people see it so you can talk to more people about it. But on the other hand, it's kind of nice to have like this thing that kind of feels kind of special and feels like it's yours.
I just don't want to run the risk of doing what you've done and just let someone else shit all over your favorite movie.
Yeah, the beauty.
Yeah,
of this
I think that's
Sorry, I
that's
keep
kind of what
receipts.
that's the power of nostalgia, though, isn't it? That's
Oh, yeah, sure.
it really, those rose tinted glasses, you just can't take them off. Yeah, you just shove all the issues aside and you're like, no, this is a great movie, and you're all wrong.
Yep.
And that's fine.
Well, it's not even that. It's like I don't get angry if people don't like it, because I know that there's a lot of people who will watch this and think it's a piece of shit, but I don't care.
There's
'Cause
not a lot
for
of
me,
people that will watch it.
Sorry.
Well,
There's
well,
57 people who probably think it's shit, and I'm the 58th one who doesn't care because I love it. Yeah, so I once tweeted Ted Danson. I don't know how active he's on Twitter, but I tweeted him and told him how much I love Loch Ness with no response. And I mean, he probably doesn't respond to anything, but I like to think that if he did, he probably looked at it and thought that I was taking the piss out of him. Like, how could anybody really like this?
He
It
gave
probably
it
ruined
the
his
big-
day. He's probably like, fuck you, man. I worked hard on that.
He
I learned
Googled
about
it
my
because of
ancestry.
Well, I guess with that, I have been Dan.
I've been Michael.
I've been Helena.
And I've been Sean.
And Sean, where can people find you? Not that I'd be surprised if anyone didn't know where you were compared to us.
I'm on Twitter at Carney from 55, and you can also find me at Scaredy Boys, a podcast about horror films that I do. And if for some reason you want to get into AFL Aussie rules football, I do a podcast called How Good's Footy as well.
You can find this podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Hilton Pod, which is HILTM Pod. Let us know if you watch Loch Ness. Let us know what you think of it. And yeah, thank you for being on.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you so much for watching Loch Ness. What a treat for you all.
It legitimately was.
Yeah.
I'm staying quiet. It's 20 past 10 in the UK, by the way. What time is it in Australia? Where are you?
20 past 7 at night.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's
Try
not...
and match energies. I'm just going to finish my.
Yeah, wake up.
Yeah, I've gone with a tea. I was going to have a whiskey, but I just felt like a bit of a dog drinking whiskey when you guys had probably just got up.
Oh, no. It would make the thing way more interesting.